walks at night. Even though it's safe, I would still look over your shoulder.
Creepy.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico.
What?
The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the supporters who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. You're helping us grow in this algorithm, man. We're small right now, man, but I believe with you guys' help, we can get into this algorithm and we could grow even bigger and faster. So just follow those steps, we will be fine. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best and seek the truth.
This man followed a teen and her grandmother who were on a trail, and then he took their lives. 2021, 17-year-old Hera and her grandmother, 78-year-old Sanetta, were found deceased in their home in Largo, Florida. Earlier that day, Hera and her grandmother went on a walk on the Pinellas Trail not too far from their house. On their way home, 19-year-old Sage Curry followed them to their house. He waited for the sun to go down before entering their home through the bedroom window. Sage then went into the kitchen and looked for the sharpest knife he could find and used that to attack the grandmother as she slept. Hera ran into the room after hearing her grandmother scream, and she was also stabbed to death. What's insane is that there was no relationship between the victims and Sage. He literally did this for absolutely no reason. His family said that his mental health declined after his 18th birthday and he became delusional, so much that he couldn't tell fiction from reality and believed that TV shows he watched were real. While he sat in jail, he got this moon tattooed on his forehead, which referenced a TV show character who had DID. Sage also got one of the victims' names tattooed on his ankle. In court, he really tried to use the insanity defense, but that was rejected. Sage was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Be careful.
Finally gave an interview to News Nation, and she talked about the final text that was sent from Riley to her about his drink. People have not talked about this case in a couple of weeks, and this is a pretty big break considering we still don't have footage from inside the bar. To give you a refresher on the case, Riley Strain, he was a fraternity brother who was down on a trip with his frat. He was down in Nashville, and he was kicked out of a bar. See him on camera when he hits the street level. He is hammered.
Damn.
He's completely gone. He's wandering aimlessly. He's alone. Eventually, he would vanish that night, and then following a 2-week search, his body was found without his pants, washed up in the Cumberland River. And a lot of dust that was kicked up on this case because a lot of people wanted to know about that drink, and now we have confirmation from his mother. And again, it's a lot to pack into one video. If you want some backstory on this, I've got an episode on it. Riley had apparently texted his mom that his drink at the bar, something was wrong with it. Adds even more suspicion to the GHB theory.
Scariest urban legend.
You knew, man. When you guys out seekers, man, like I said this before, when you out and you have a drink or something, if you walk away from it, just buy a whole new drink, man. It's not even worth it because somebody can try to slip something into it. You don't know what they try to put into your drink. It can just take a dark turn, like we witnessed.
Legend from each state, part 2. Charlie No Face from Pennsylvania, also known as the Green Man. It is said he stalks the streets of Pennsylvania at night. Some say it looks like he was stuck in a house fire. Other people say it looks like he got struck by lightning. But he's actually a real person. His name is Raymond Robinson. He doesn't like going out during the day, so he goes for long walks at night. Even though it's safe, I would still look over your shoulder.
Creepy.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico.
What?
The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
What the? I'm telling you, man, pieces of media that we see as a child, man. We really don't know the dark backstories behind it. I used to watch it, Courage the Cowardly Dog, when I was a kid. I would have never guessed that show was based off of a true story out of the middle of nowhere. I can't believe that's the actual location. We're gonna have to deep dive into that, man. Did you guys know about that? I sure so didn't. That's actually insane to think about, man. Makes us gonna look at our child in a different way, all those shows we were watching.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 21. This photo shows an 8-month-old Xiao Bao who is lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 90 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. The world's scariest haunted house, McCamey Manor, requires you to sign a 40-page waiver and undergo a physical and mental evaluation.
Ooh.
If you manage to make it through the house, you could win $20,000. But to this day, no one has ever made it through. The little girl who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time was shot to death by her father, who then committed suicide. Roman Emperor Nero had a boy castrated, dressed him up as a bride, and married him, all because the boy looked similar to his previous dead wife. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because the kid was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty.
What the That is weird. Over COD, bro? Be better, man.
I really want to talk about this photo. A security guard at the Bryson Avenue Mall located in Virginia took this photo in 2011. It would later be turned into police, but the woman seen here was never found. For context, the security guard's name was Sean Mercado, and he worked the night shift at this mall. But the mall had been having strange things happening for like weeks. Like on after hours, there are store alarms going off, but nobody's ever found. They're hearing people run through the mall, but again, they never see anybody. Until one night when Sean Mercado goes out to have a cigarette, he's just kind of patrolling the parking lot, and he goes back to enter through the employee entrance when he saw this woman staring back at him from inside the mall. He takes a photo for proof, and then he radios for backup, and he goes in after her. He claimed to chase her as fast as he could, but he eventually lost her inside that mall. And despite a police investigation, she would never be found.
What the hell was she doing inside that mall? Some creepy eyes, man.
Disturbing brain facts you didn't know about. The brain will protect itself even if it means misery to you or death. Inhaling smoke in the middle of a burning house. Brain will make you stop breathing and pass out. Stuck in the middle of a cold place. You will fall asleep to conserve energy and never wake up again. Had your leg torn off by a bear. Here's adrenaline. So you can save your brain even if there's a huge risk of infection or further injury. You and your brain work together most of the time, but when push comes to shove, you are sacrificed.
Our brain is out for ourselves? I never knew that.
And this is why you should never kiss a baby on the lips.
This is a result of somebody kissing her on the mouth. When parents say not to kiss their children, this is one of the reasons.
This is a recent photo of 8-year-old Brie Lynn. She was born healthy, but as a baby, she was kissed on the lips by someone who had a cold sore, and her life changed forever. So after this happened, she began having seizures and became extremely sick. And since as a baby, your immune system is not developed, the HSV infection attacked her brain and left her with a severe brain injury. Her mother explains that the left side of her brain is 60% damaged and the right side is 10% damaged. And because of this, Brie Lynn has never been able to walk or talk, and doctors don't even know how long she'll live. There was actually another child in the past who had the same thing happen to them, and they only lived until the age of 7. And here's the thing, many people can argue that they've kissed their baby and nothing like this has ever happened, but this is still very possible, especially if you have a contagious virus in your system. I mean, just to be safe, we should all avoid doing this.
More you know, man. I don't know, something like that could happen, because like I said, I've seen people kiss baby plenty of times. But it just takes, I guess, somebody, the wrong person who's sick, or like she said, a cold sore in their mouth, and look at the result of what happened. That's gonna make me 10 times more aware now. I ain't gonna lie, don't be kissing no babies out there, bro. You don't want that to fall back on you. It's a crazy story. Damn.
today
Edit.
Easter, here's a terrifying story of Bunnyman Bridge. Bunnyman Bridge is a bridge located in northern Virginia. The story takes place in 1904. Located close to Bunnyman Bridge was an insane asylum, which one night was transporting a couple of inmates, where the car randomly crashed. Having all the inmates freed, it took the county a couple days to find all of them. After they were all found, there was only one missing. And at the time, that person was missing forever. The story goes that when people went near the bridge, they found a bunch of unalived bunnies, as if someone was eating them, which people assumed was probably the escaped prisoner who had nowhere else to go. Then one Halloween night, a group of teenagers decided to go to Bunnyman Bridge. They were there hanging out having a great time, and all of a sudden they saw a flash of light. And the next morning when someone was passing over Bunnyman Bridge, they ended up seeing a bunch of teenagers just hanging out there, if you know what I mean. Completely turned inside out. Almost something out of a horror movie. And that's where the tale of the Bunnyman Bridge comes in. It's stated that if you go to Bunnyman Bridge, you say Bunnyman, do a bunch of weird things, there's a possible chance that this Bunnyman comes out of nowhere. And if he does, he more or less unalives you. Now yes, Bunnyman Bridge is an urban legend. Kind of something like the Goat Man. But if you really think about it, does it really make sense? On Halloween night, isn't the portal between the human and the other realm a little bit thinner? Would it make it possible for something like this to come through? Me personally, I don't know. If this video gets 100,000 likes, I'll visit Bunnyman Bridge and see what's really going on there.
Gruesome
Not
facts
me.
you didn't know, part 148. Despite his massive success, musician Dave Grohl has always been very frugal with his money. When he was a child, his mother, who was a public school teacher, had a stroke while filing her taxes. He said it left a mark on him, that money will kill you. People will spend their lives dying inside just because of money. This is what babies in the womb look like on an MRI scan. Terrifying. In 2004, an Iranian woman was left blind and disfigured after having acid thrown in her face. Her attacker did this because she refused his marriage proposal. She told the judge instead of the man paying money or spending time in jail, she wanted an eye for an eye. She was granted her request, and in 2008, a court ordered that he be blinded in both eyes.
What the? I never heard of something like that, but she got her
Everyday
justice.
things you didn't know had a purpose. Alright, most people think that the hole in the pot handle is meant to hang it. But
Yeah.
it can also be used to hold a spoon so when you're cooking, you don't make a mess everywhere. Next, we have these tiny things on jeans. They're actually called rivets, and their purpose is to reinforce jeans in areas that will be super fragile. And the hole in the pen cap is actually a safety feature, because if you were to swallow one, you wouldn't choke, and air would still be able to get through that tiny hole. And finally, pom-poms on beanies were actually made for sailors, because when they were at sea, they would sometimes hit their head on low ceilings, and the pom-poms basically protected their head while keeping them warm.
The more you know.
What is the scariest game you've ever played? I get this question almost every time I post a video or stream. And even though I've probably played well over 100 horror games, it's probably something like Dead Space, Outlast, or PT, right? It's actually something you might not have heard of. The scariest game I've ever played is a game called Lost in Vivo. But what makes this game so terrifying? Lost in Vivo takes inspiration from many different horror classics and puts them into one horrifying package. Every different type of scare you can imagine is in this game. It's also one of the only horror games I've ever played that gets scarier the longer you play. If you're not someone that gets scared easily, give this one a try.
I ain't into scary games, but I believe them off the description. I think the most scariest game I probably played was Dead Space. Classic.
Scary Christmas Urban Legends, Part 1. Hopefully you're not eating right now because this one's going to make you lose your appetite. So this is mincemeat pie. Apparently people actually like this and like to eat it during Christmas time.
What?
Legend goes that it was created in the 16th century as a way for humans to cook and eat other humans. You heard me correctly. Humans were added to this dish. And apparently this rumor or legend is why mincemeat pies no longer have meat in them. At least most don't anymore. Delicious. Like and follow for more weird shit like this.
I've never had a mincemeat pie, and I never will. Thanks to the info we got. You guys believe that?
After watching Quiet on Set, I realized that predators like this will purposely get jobs that involve children. So this is Brian Peck, and he worked with Nickelodeon in the early 2000s, and he was an acting and dialogue coach. Well, it turns out that he was essaying Drake Bell at a very young age. Drake was only 15 years old when this was going on, but he actually didn't tell anyone until he revealed everything in this documentary. Brian was somehow able to manipulate Drake and turn him against his father, and then he took that opportunity opportunity to get him alone and do disgusting things to him. But eventually in 2003, Drake spoke up and Brian was arrested and charged with SA. Now, my jaw dropped to the floor when I found out that this 43-year-old man was only sentenced to 16 months in jail. And then it gets even worse. After his release, despite him being registered as a sex offender, he still found work in Hollywood and began working on the set of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Now, shortly after Drake spoke out about what happened to him, he started on set with this new show, Drake and Josh. And what I find crazy is that as kids, we're watching these shows and we're being entertained, but we actually have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Here's how a bowling alley actually works and why it's dangerous. When you throw a ball and it rolls down the lane, close to the end there's an infrared sensor. So when the ball rolls past it, it sends information to the control unit. But the thing is, it doesn't actually know if it's a ball or something else. Then the sweep is lowered to protect the pins from other balls, and if you were to get stuck behind that, there's barely any chance of you getting out of this unharmed, because the sweep pushes the pin back into a pit, and then a rotating conveyor belt brings the pins back up, which could crush you or cause broken bones. Then the ball goes into a hole, which brings it back to the next player. Once all of this is done, you're ready to play again if you're still alive.
Don't get caught in that bowling behind, I guess, those pins, man. I failed a couple of times bowling, but why would you even be back there in the first place? That's just like inviting trouble. Sort of process. That's an edit.
This pastor is being accused of unaliving his own wife. This case is currently ongoing, but it's so highly suggested, so this is what we know so far. On April 28th, Pastor John Paul Miller made the shocking announcement at the end of his church service that his wife, Micah, had unalived herself. He then asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss his wife's death. Micah's family and friends do not believe this cause of death and have taken to social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. John Paul also wrote Micah's obituary, where he talked mostly about himself, not even Micah, who was the one that passed away.
Weird.
He also painted their marriage as like a perfect relationship, which is really odd considering that Micah filed for divorce and a restraining order against her husband only days before her passing. The weeks prior to Micah's passing, she was sharing on Facebook about abusive relationships and really just hinting that something wasn't right. A friend of Micah's has come out and confirmed that Micah told her that there was abuse in the marriage, and also that church funds were being used for things not church related. And since, more friends and family of Micah have come out with similar accounts. There's also been some speculation that John Paul was having an affair, a years-long affair, with this woman that he's been seen in the days before and the days after Micah's death. That woman's husband also passed away in a really suspicious way, but that's just online speculation for right now. The investigation is currently ongoing, so hopefully we have answers really, really soon. But in the meantime, make sure to leave all your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments for me.
Allegedly, one of the teens accused of being involved in the death of Arizona teen Preston Lord was hidden away by his father after the attack. He also allegedly bragged about Preston's funeral being a closed casket service. 17-year-old Talon Renner was one of the teens accused of Preston's murder, and he is being held on a $1 million bond after pleading not guilty. Now the ex-girlfriend of Renner's father, Travis Renner, who broke up with Travis after the murder but remains close to the family, allegedly made claims to police revealing what happened with Renner after the murder. According to the New York Post, she shared that she decided to make the report to police after seeing the lack of remorse that Talon Renner had following the release of video surveillance allegedly showing him bragging about getting away with Preston's murder, and how he was given a closed casket funeral because of how badly he was beaten. One of the things that came from this report was that Travis Renner allegedly moved his son Talon to the family's $850,000 cabin in Show Low, which is 3 hours away from his home after Preston's death. Ex-girlfriend claimed to have messaged Talon Renner on Snapchat while he hid at the cabin. He allegedly shared a photo of him walking the family dog Gucci, and she claims that in that photo, his jaw was swollen. He also claimed that the Renner family attorney had allegedly advised them to let Talon's hands heal before coming back to his hometown of Gilbert. Allegedly told police that Renner holds in a lot of aggression, and when he snaps, he snaps. Additionally, Ashley Reynolds, a former employee of Travis Renner at Relentless Media Agency, told the Arizona Republic last month that Travis and the company's CEO, Adam Keifer, allegedly discussed moving Talon to the cabin and shifting the blame on another boy involved in the deadly assault. She claimed that the two men asked her to help with the quote-unquote crisis and regularly provided updates to her about the case, and she remained unwilling to help for 2 months, after which she was fired. This all comes amid many claims that the families of the 6 accused suspects, known as the Gilbert Goons, were involved in covering up the murder and helping the teens get away with it. But I just want to note, this is all alleged and nothing has been confirmed by police.
What do you guys think, man? Well, if somebody had the money, power, resources to do those type of things, man, to try to cover it up, seems like it. Like she said, she reported him because she said he wasn't feeling no remorse. That's actually insane. It's all alleged, though, so we don't know yet.
The human body exhibition B of the missing news sinker. Human body exhibition is all real humans that pass, and there's this one pregnant lady with a real baby. The thing is, nobody actually really knows who all these people are. The founders claim that these are patients from the hospital who have consented and passed from old age or health issues, but apparently there's no proof of that. This is once China's pretty well-known news anchor, Miss Zhang. She was particularly a news anchor for the province of Dalian. She was a beautiful news anchor in the 90s, and the crazy thing is somebody has deleted all her content from the station. So these are rare photos that we have of her because all her videos are deleted. Now, in 1998, she would mysteriously go missing, but her family says that she was actually almost full-term pregnant. And who was the baby daddy? Turns out she was actually the mistress of then Dalian's mayor, Bo Xinlai. This is his wife, by the way. Allegedly, she was pregnant with the mayor's baby. And the story goes that the wife found out and she was not happy. The last known rumor or report was that she was last seen at a hotel and apparently tried to self-harm herself because of all the drama. But a pregnant lady trying to self-harm herself? I mean... Okay, so where's her body then? Till this day, her family, her friends, nobody found her body yet. A couple years later, at the Human Body Exhibition, this body shows up. Now, a Korean documentary crew evaluated this body, and they say that this looks almost full term, about 8 to 9 months. And Zhang, which went missing, she was pregnant almost full term, 8 to 9 months. The crazy coincidence is that the original factory that decided to work with the founder of the Human Body Exhibition, the factory happened to be in Dalian. And further research, who owned the factory? The mayor's wife.
What?
There was a lot of controversy years later that apparently a lot of the bodies did not come from hospital patients. It actually could be Chinese prisoners that's been executed. Apparently, the family of Miss Zhang tried to do DNAs for years, but because it's been so processed, you can't really do that anymore. We don't know if the family never got their answers, but could this be the news anchor? Years later, the former Mayor Bo was sentenced for corruption, and the wife was sentenced for murdering her business coworker. There's a lot more details. I did a full YouTube video on it. It will be in my bio.
That's really weird and creepy, man. What do you guys think? Was that her? It's like all the dots were connecting, but it was like years later they both went to jail for stuff connected to it. You never know, man. They didn't get convicted for her, but it caught up with them at the end, man. That bad energy, it'll always catch you in the end. That's really creepy and scary, man. You guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man. Also, hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a video. I do daily uploads. Follow me on my social medias down below, trying to get my numbers up there as well. You guys, we can stay connected in the community. You guys can send me clips of anything you guys want me to react to. Discord's coming soon. Just got to make it. You guys gonna catch in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, man, spreading the word about the channel. Greatly appreciate that, man. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best. seek the truth.
Fascinating as fuck. Jeremy Meeks, the man whose mugshot was so sexy that it landed him a modeling contract, a form of punishment known as getting shreked.
Getting shreked. You guys, seekers, man, that proves right there, bro. You never know what could happen, man. They got sent as a form of punishment, but Shrek, you know, that kicked off that franchise, man. So you never know, man, what life's gonna take, what road it's gonna push you down, man. One door closes, another opportunity opens, man. But that's crazy, man. I heard about that fashion guy, you know, who was in jail, but they liked him so much he became like a, I guess, big fashion star icon. I ain't kind of believe it at first, but it confirmed it. Tap in with us, man.
This mother and her 10-month-old baby were murdered by the cartel. 16-year-old Alyssa Perez was found deceased holding her 10-month-old baby, Nicholas, in a ditch in Tulare, California. Officers arrived to the home around 4 a.m. after someone called police about a large number of gunshots. When they entered the home, they found another victim in the doorway, and there were 3 more bodies inside, including an older woman. All the victims were murdered by a gunshot to the head, and 2 other women actually survived by hiding in a nearby trailer. It's been said that Alyssa tried to run away with her baby, but then she was found and murdered. Investigators believe that this was a gang-related attack and that they were trying to send a message. But after further investigation, police records revealed that the week prior, a search warrant was done on the property and guns, marijuana, and meth were found, which is why they concluded that this crime was drug-related. Police also mentioned that the manner and swiftness of the killings suggested that the men were experienced in murder.
So it was
What
targeted.
was the Cincinnati Crawler? In 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple of weird things happening in their home. Their 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain of seeing glowing eyes outside her window at night, and the feeling of being watched. One night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump onto his bed. Except that when he went to pet it, it wasn't the dog, but the Cincinnati Crawler, who immediately fled the scene. Till date, police think that the Crawler is responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. While some believe that he was an escaped convict, others believe that he was actually the victim of human experiments that may have been conducted by the family's dad. However, we only know what he looks like from a photo Claire snapped before he escaped, leading many to wonder.
We need to talk.
The Cincinnati Crawler. What the hell? And it's kind of weird that he's never been caught to this day, I'm guessing. Like, imagine, yeah, you think it's a dog you petting, and it's a whole person, man, just in your house wearing that type of mask. How would you guys respond? That's just something you don't even think about, man. How the hell did he get in a house? These are questions, man, we need to be asking ourselves.
Talk about this photo, because Josh Maddox was found inside this chimney with his knees bent over his head, and he had been there for 7 years. But what happened to him, and how did he end up stuck inside a chimney for that long? Allegedly, Josh went out on a walk one day and completely disappeared, until one day a builder from Colorado Springs wanted to demolish his old abandoned cabin, and that's when Josh was found curled up and mummified inside the chimney. But the strange thing is, even though his body was found with his knees bent over his head, there were no injuries or broken bones. The coroner who performed Josh's autopsy believes he crawled up the chimney himself, and he curled up in that position to protect himself from something. But this case gets even more bizarre from here. Not only was Josh found in such an unnatural position, but he was found only wearing a thermal suit. The rest of his clothes were in the cabin, neatly folded. So why would he fold up his clothes and then crawl up the chimney? The chimney also had a heavy steel mesh grate built into it, so it would have been impossible for anyone to slide back down the chimney. Many people disagree, but this terrible incident was eventually ruled as an accident, even though we'll never truly know what Josh wanted to protect himself from by crawling up the chimney. Follow for more.
Was that an accident? The hell?
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are
3 reasons why you should trust it. BuzzFeed user Vodka Sunshine said that when she was in college, there was this really cute guy in one of her classes. A week or 2 in, they had to work together on a small project, and she was pretty excited about the opportunity to get to know him. After speaking to him though, she got a really bad vibe from him, but nothing specific that she could put her finger on. She said that she lost all attraction to him and knew that she should keep her distance. A month or 2 later, their teacher announced that the guy had been arrested for murdering a girl he was dating. Reddit user Helios21 said that he was at a club on a boardwalk with some buddies in Puerto Rico. He said that he just didn't feel right and he told them that they should leave. They fussed and moaned, but eventually they all left. Before they even hit the parking lot, a massive shootout broke out inside the club. The front door guy was shot to death and a few of the people inside were as well. It was literal pandemonium, people screaming and running everywhere. The ride back to their place was quiet, but they all knew they got really lucky that night. Reddit user BreakTD said that over 20 years ago when he was 17 or so, 2 of his buddies came to pick him up to get the night started. He got in the back of their car, but as soon as he sat down, he had a feeling of impending doom rush over him. He said that he had never felt that feeling before, and never felt it since. He immediately asked to be let out with some excuse and said that they would catch up later. He got out, and he said the feeling quickly faded, so he went on about his day. About 2 hours later, he catches up with some other friends, and they immediately tell him that the 2 friends that came to pick him up earlier were involved in a major car accident. Both were seriously hurt and in the hospital. The accident happened about 10 minutes after they tried to pick him up. They both survived. The car did not survive though. It was struck in the passenger side rear right, where he would have been sitting. Reddit user BreakTD said that he was pretty positive after seeing the damage done that he would not have survived.
The orphan.
Hey man, you gotta trust our gut feelings, because they, even though you know some people may try to knock and be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, but no, your gut feeling, like if you feel something that's not right or you feeling vibe is off or something, just trust it. As it was shown here today, man, it can literally save your life.
Was based on a real story. In 2007, a 33-year-old Czech Republic woman named Barbara Skrylova used her rare disease, hypoparathyroidism, to pose as a 13-year-old girl and trick 2 sisters, Clara and Katerina Marova, into adopting her. She quickly took advantage of the schizophrenic sisters and manipulated them into joining a cult called the Grail Movement, which promoted child abuse and cannibalism, amongst other aberrations. Barbara soon got jealous of Clara's biological children and schemed to get rid of them. She broke things and pinned the blame on the 2 children and convinced the 2 sisters that they needed to be punished in the form of torture. Eventually, a neighbor caught the signal of a wireless camera and reported them to the police, but not before Barbara posed as a 12-year-old girl called Annika and got adopted by another family, fleeing the country. Eventually, she was caught and extradited to the Czech Republic. But did you know that
she pulled that off 2 times? How the hell does she do that?
If you've seen enough of my videos, you probably think you know what's in that suitcase, but you're wrong. In May of 2004, several pieces of luggage washed up on a shore in Virginia, each case containing the body parts of an unidentified person. Immediately, an investigation was launched, and a facial reconstruction of the body led to Melanie McGuire. Melanie, who was having an affair with her boss, had purchased a gun and shot her husband Bill multiple times. She then dismembered his body, packed it into 3 separate suitcases, and dumped them into Chesapeake Bay. And on July 19th, 2007, at the age of 34, Melanie McGuire was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
So a crime? Like, what the heck?
Cameron realized he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Cameron was a normal 18-year-old boy living in Tampa, Florida in 2018. He had also recently graduated high school, and to congratulate him, his parents got him a black Ford Mustang.
Damn.
On May 23, 2018, Cameron and his brother Tristan had gone to a local gym. While they were there, they had also run into an old friend of theirs named John Barreneau. Once they were done at the gym, all 3 of the friends got into their cars. Cameron and Tristan were in the black Ford Mustang, while John was in his own car. As they approached a street light, both of the cars were side by side, and that's where they got the brilliant idea to do some street racing. Both of the cars sped up very quickly, reaching over 100 miles an hour.
Sheesh.
At the same time, a mother and her young child were crossing the street. Unfortunately, the cars were just going way too fast in order for her to make it across the street in time. Her name was Jessica and her daughter's name was Lilia. And unfortunately, it was a direct hit. John was able to swerve past her, but unfortunately, Cameron ended up hitting her head on. All Cameron could do was watch Jessica and Lilia's bodies fly into the air as he hit them. Moments after the crash, Jessica's husband David Romanel passed by in his own car. At the time that he was passing by, he had no idea that his wife had just been involved in a major accident. He noticed there was a huge crowd of people looking at the accident, but he just wanted to get home and hope that no one had gotten hurt too badly. David then tried to call his wife, but she wasn't answering, and when he went home, she wasn't there either. He then figured that she must have seen the accident, so he went to go see for himself. And when he got there, that's when he noticed that his wife and baby stroller was right there in the middle of the street. Immediately, chills went down his spine when he realized that his wife and daughter had been the victims of this horrible accident. Unfortunately, Jessica passed away the same day as the accident, and Lilia tried to fight, but she passed away the following day. Immediately, both Cameron and John were charged since they were the ones driving. John took a plea deal and was given 6 years in prison with 15 years of probation. Cameron took an open plea, but to his surprise and his family's surprise, he was given 24 years in prison. And right away, people were absolutely torn about this decision. The judge believed that Cameron had shown no remorse, and he also had a history of racing recklessly. Meanwhile, supporters of Cameron believed that the punishment was way too harsh, considering that he was 18 years old when the entire thing happened. And today, he's still in prison. Let me know what you guys think.
It's time for...
What do you guys think about that? I mean, he had a history of that, man, and I knew once you said it was side to side, man. People were really thinking it's Fast and Furious. I did it. It's not, man. It's real life. You just can't race all over the streets because you never know what's going to happen. And look at the end result.
For cookies and crime. We're still on the topic of love or lack thereof, and this case is Clara Harris. Clara Harris was a Colombian immigrant and was named Mrs. Columbia Houston and worked as a dentist. She married David Harris on February 14, 1992. Coincidence? I think not. David was an orthodontist, and together they owned a chain of dental offices. They had successful businesses, and the couple was able to afford an upscale home and lifestyle in Friendswood, Texas. On the outside, they seemed happily married. They had 3 kids, a nice house, and a couple of expensive cars. Life was great right up until David admitted he was having an affair with his former receptionist. Desperate to keep her husband, Clara tried everything to win him back. She quit her job and began working out. She dyed her hair, worked on her tan, and even scheduled a breast enhancement surgery. But when her plans failed, she got even more desperate. Clara hired a private detective to tail the 2 lovebirds, and on July 24, 2002, she got a call. The investigator had followed the couple to the Nassau Bay Hilton.
Oh, man.
And to add insult to injury, that's the same hotel where Clara and David had gotten married. Infuriated, Clara grabbed her keys and her 16-year-old stepdaughter, David's biological daughter, and sped off in her Mercedes. When she reached the Hilton, Clara stormed inside the lobby and attacked her rival, staring at her until they were escorted outside by hotel security. Still on a high of adrenaline and furious, Clara rushed back to her car, and as the adulterers walked away outside, she hit the gas, with her stepdaughter in the car. The car slammed into David, sending him into the air, and even before touching the ground, Clara hit him again. This time, she waited for David to land before running him over 3 times. Ironically, her private investigator was there and had recorded the whole incident. Clara's daughter spoke against her having been in the car. She was found guilty of murdering her husband, and on February 14, 2003, a trend here, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed by the jury's sudden passion finding. The murder was ruled a crime of passion. I don't know about you guys, but I find the ruling of crime of passion so interesting because it's a ruling that considers people's emotions and how sometimes it's so uncontrollable it makes us do crazy things. Clara was released on parole May 11th, 2018 and was released from parole this month.
careful who you get in relationship to, man. See, because I've been saying
This is
that.
part 2 on the case of 16-year-old Susana Morales and how a police officer has been accused of murdering her. Near Susana's body, police found that belonged to 22-year-old Miles Bryant, who was currently a police officer for the Doraville Police Department. When detectives discovered that a police officer was found near the crime scene, they were very confused. I mean, this can't really be a coincidence. They start looking deeper into Miles, and that's when they discovered that on July 27th, Miles actually reported as missing. He claims he accidentally left his truck unlocked and that someone broke into the truck, they stole his weapon, they stole his military ID, and they also stole his wallet. Now, Miles filed this police report at around 11 a.m. on July 27th, just 2 hours after Susana's family had reported her as missing. Now, what are the odds that this guy's weapon was stolen 2 hours after Susana was reported missing? And then that same weapon was found near Susana's body. Just didn't make sense, so detectives looked further into him, and that's when they discovered that Miles Bryant actually lived at the Sterling Glen Apartments, the same apartments that Susana was at the night that she disappeared. Not only did he live there, but he also worked as a courtesy security officer for the building. Now, all of this is no longer a coincidence, so on February 13th, 2023, 22-year-old Miles Bryant was arrested and charged for the murder and kidnapping of 16-year-old Susana Morales. He was also accused of filing a false police report since he claims that his weapon was stolen, but in reality, it wasn't. When Susana's family heard that a police officer was arrested for her murder, they just couldn't believe it. They said that a police officer being involved was the last thing that they ever suspected. They never thought to themselves, oh, maybe a cop did it. Like, this was just so surprising. Family says that they had no idea who Miles Bryant was and that they don't believe that Susana knew him. Police have also come out and said that they haven't been able to find any type of connection between Susana or Miles Bryant. This possibly is a stranger-on-stranger crime. So this is what police think happened. The night of July 26, 2022, Susana Morales did leave the Sterling Glen Apartments at around 9:40 p.m. Then, somewhere between 10 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., detectives believe that Susana encountered Bryant and that he possibly offered her a ride home. He did have his patrol car with him. He would always take it home with him. So police don't know if he did use his car or his power as a police officer to lure Susana into his car. Maybe he saw Susana walking home by herself and he decided to approach her and said, oh, I'm a cop, I can give you a ride home. It's possible that he did use his power as a police officer to get Susana to get inside his vehicle and to trust him. Detectives believe that somewhere between 10 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning on July 27th, Susana was killed. The cause of death has not been revealed yet, but at this time detectives don't believe that she was... Yes, the weapon was found near her body, but they don't believe that's what killed her. As police dug further into Bryant, they discovered that he had a history of stalking and harassing women. For now, Bryant remains behind bars, and I just really hope that Susana Morales gets the justice that she deserves.
Buster Murdaugh has finally put out a statement. Buster is the son of Alec Murdaugh, a former South Carolina lawyer who was recently convicted of murdering his wife and son, aka Buster's mother and brother. Buster testified for his father's defense in the trial, but there have also been a lot of rumors and suspicion around Buster's involvement in the death of a 19-year-old man, Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith was found dead on the side of the road on July 8th, 2015. One pathologist said that it seemed that he had been hit by a vehicle. However, the team that responded to the scene said that there were no vehicle debris, no skid marks, or injuries consistent with someone being struck by a vehicle.
Really?
There was no real evidence that he was struck, but his death basically was ruled accidental. About 2 years ago, when investigators started looking into the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, they also reopened the investigation into Stephen Smith's death. This was because of information that they learned while investigating the murders. There has recently been a lot of suspicion online that Buster and or Paul could have been involved in Stephen's death. Since then, Stephen's family have raised money to exhume his body and do a private independent autopsy. They are seeking a new, unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts. This will be happening soon, and they are hopeful that he will get justice. Since Buster's father was convicted of the murders, there's been a lot of suspicion around him and his potential involvement in Stephen Smith's death. Nothing has been proven, and it's all alleged so far. But today, Buster Murdaugh came out with a statement. He said, I have tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up until now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by media and followers of this story. This has gone on far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. He continued, I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. I'm requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me. So as I said, everything that has come out about Buster's potential involvement in Stephen's death is alleged. Nothing has been proven. Hopefully the new independent autopsy will provide some answers and clarity as to what happened to Stephen. And hopefully if he was killed by somebody and his death was not an accident, he will get justice.
What do you guys think, Seekers? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't adding up about the case, but they say it was alleged so far. I mean, we're just going to have to check that up and see if anything else happened with that case. To see if there's more to it. Sounds like it.
Story of Khaleesi William, a 16-year-old girl murdered while recording what would be her last TikTok video. Disclaimer, the video is to bring awareness to Khaleesi Williams' story and meant to cause no harm. Please pray for the friends and the family of the victim. Atlanta, Georgia, gained national news in 2020 after a horrifying death of a young girl. In December 2020, Khaleesi Williams, a 16-year-old high school student, received an invite to a party that was going to be held at an Airbnb. This party would be chaperoned by an adult. Khaleesi's stepfather, Ronnie Savoy, encouraged her to go to the event since she had been confined to her house since the lockdown due to COVID-19.
Okay.
Supposed to be at an Airbnb with a couple of more friends from school and the mother. They'd have done this once before, so we was a little comfortable of letting her go the second time. And we spoke to the mother, and she said she was going to be there.
April Smith, Khaleesi's mother, agreed with her daughter getting some time out of the house and enjoying herself. The chaperone informed Khaleesi's parents that the event would be an Airbnb party for children, and that she would be responsible for everything. The parents felt at ease and decided that sending Khaleesi to spend the night would be good for her. At 12:02 a.m., Khaleesi is seen performing a dance routine in her TikTok video when someone suddenly entered her room without knocking. The teen looked shocked and afraid, then suddenly stopped filming her video. The sound of gunshots could be heard from her room a few minutes later. Partygoers were unaware of what happened to Khaleesi. Two guys discovered Khaleesi on the floor of her hotel room. They carried her to the elevator while holding her from behind and supporting her legs. As of 12:27 a.m., authorities had been notified about an earlier disturbance at Hyatt Regency. Following their arrival, the cops went to check on Khaleesi. She wasn't breathing and had no pulse. She was then transferred to the hospital, where she remained for some time. The medical staff tried to save Khaleesi's life but were unsuccessful. The 16-year-old was pronounced dead in the hospital. Khaleesi's parents called the chaperone to check on the well-being of their child, but were only informed about their child's death 8 hours after she passed. It was a shock to Khaleesi's parents to learn of what had happened to their daughter. They were enraged because the chaperone had failed to tell them sooner of the occurrence.
The hotel room was in her name, so I feel like she should be held accountable for my daughter's death as well.
They didn't learn the group was staying at a Hyatt Regency until they received a horrific call the next day.
Like, this is the morgue. And I was like, the morgue? They was like, yes, ma'am. They was like, well, we're waiting on your daughter's body to come through.
What the fuck?
I'm like, whoa.
Khaleesi's parents say that call didn't come until 8:45 a.m. The teen was pronounced dead at 12:23 in the morning.
Khaleesi's parents were also unaware that the party had moved to Hyatt Regency Hotel instead of the Airbnb that was previously discussed. The parents felt like the chaperone should be held accountable for the tragedy that happened to their daughter, since she took responsibility for the safety of the children at the party, and her parents only allowed Khaleesi to attend the party on the assurance that the chaperone would look after her. Atlanta Police Department reports that Khaleesi knew her attacker. Anthony Grant, the police spokesman of the Atlanta Police Department, reported as follows. Preliminary investigation suggests that the victim was inside of a room at the Hyatt Regency with a juvenile male companion. A verbal dispute occurred between both parties which resulted in the juvenile male fatally shooting the victim. The juvenile is a 16-year-old boy, but identity is being concealed. The 16-year-old boy was taken into custody by Atlanta police and taken to Atlanta Police headquarters for additional questioning. At this time, the boy admitted to shooting Khaleesi after they got into a heated argument. Police then arrested the boy and charged him with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a gun by someone younger than 18 years of age. The defendant is now being tried in an Atlanta court pending the court's ultimate judgment. Calicia's parents also hold the hotel staff responsible for her child's death, and they protested outside of the Hyatt Regency Hotel along with supporters to express their outrage at the hotel's negligence that resulted in their daughter's death.
I want the surveillance footage of what happened, you know, who went.
She should be able to get that footage. I mean, it's her daughter. There's a lot of misinformation, man, on our party part. They say it was at a B&B. It was going to be at an Airbnb. It turned out to be at a hotel. The chaperone, I don't know what the hell they were doing that allowed that to happen, man. It's supposed to be monitoring the party, and look what happened. You can't even go to a simple party nowadays, man. And they be so young, bro. And they be doing this type of things. They really truly don't think out their actions, because it's crazy. You guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're real one, supporting the channel, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell, hit that like button, man. Also, man, tell me down below once again if you guys don't like my new reaction style. Pause and letting the video play through. I'm just trying to give you guys the best content as possible, man. Also, man, let me know. Also, tell me down below if you guys like the new thumbnails, man. I'm trying to really up my game, especially, man, with someone coming up, man. We're grinding. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, seekers.